Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Fpla. Please like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to put on notifications so that you can be alerted to our future videos. Please follow us on Twitter at Fpla for further insights and news updates with regards to FPL. If you'd like to join our Fpla Super League, please join us. The link is included in the description below. So how did you do in game week 8? Many wildcarders were caught offside with the late decision and news with regards to Heung-min Son. A lot of people ended up taking Heung-min Son out after there was an early news leak that 2 players tested positive from Spurs, and one of them was Heung-min Son. So overall, my plan was potentially to consider bringing in Heung-min Son. As you might recall from my previous video, I decided not to bring him in because of that. If I had to bring him in, it would have been at a hit. So what I decided was to cover that risk to not take a hit. There was a potential bench risking issue. However, as you can see, my score for game week 8 was 65 points. Compared to the average of 49 points. So I'm very happy to be around 16 points higher than the average without taking any hits. And my rank has improved by about 140,000 to 291,000. So overall, still looking quite solid. Still, the aim is to try to get into the top 10k this year. So baby steps at a time. Remember, FPL is a marathon, not a sprint. So if we can get into the top 100k soon, then we can sort of plan our game plan around that, how we're going to creep up to the top 10k. Okay, so who performed in my team? So overall, my backline, brilliant performance overall. As you can see, 6, 6, 6, 6, lots of sixes over there. So Sanchez from Brighton, very solid performance. Cancelo, that was a last minute decision. I was going to bring in Ruben Diaz, who was supposedly supposed to be more nailed on. However, he was benched and then came on for a 1 point. So bringing Cancelo was a great decision, a 5-point swing over there. Alexander-Arnold back again, fit, no attacking returns, but solid performance. Livramento, budget defender, another 6-pointer. What more can you ask from this guy? And then Marcel, who never kept a clean sheet. So he was the only performer that was slightly disappointing, only 1 point. But overall, very happy with my backline. And then the captaincy, Mo Salah, who else? Brilliant performance. This guy's having the form of his life currently. Most probably the best player in the world currently, if not probably in the top 2 at least. And then Saul, one thought that he might have actually done quite well, given that they had a new manager in Claudio Ranieri. However, the new manager bounce doesn't appear to have stepped in. It was a rather flat performance from Watford. However, don't forget that Watford were playing a world-class team in Liverpool. So who knows, there could be further better performances going forward. And then Greenwood, who I wasn't too confident was going to return anything. And he returned a brilliant goal. So very happy with that. So compared to some people that might have had Son, his score wasn't too far off Son's either. So that was a nice surprise. Then the disappointment for most people was Lukaku, who seemed a little bit tiring and was taken off around the 76-minute mark. So hopefully that's kind of something that they might rest him a bit and keep him fresh for the next match, which is it's supposed to be quite a relatively easy match on paper against Norwich. And then Saint Maximum, who was playing at home, the first match of the new owners against Spurs, and one thought that they might have had some fire in their belly and done quite well, and they did start off brilliantly with Callum Wilson, who was back, who scored. However, there wasn't much attacking threat thereafter from Newcastle, and Spurs actually won that match quite comfortably. The match was a bit overshadowed by some antics off the field, where a spectator had a cardiac arrest, but it was brilliant to see the fast-acting from some of the Spurs players, such as Regulon, who alerted the referee of this person in the stadium, as well as Eric Dyer, who rushed over to the medics requesting a defibrillator. The news, the last I heard, was that the man stabilized after he went to hospital, and it most likely wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't due to the acts of those Spurs players. So hats off to them, brilliant. Nice to see sport actually uniting people. If you're a sports star, you can still do lots to help people around you, and that was a brilliant man of the match performance from Eric Dyer and Sergio Regulon. Okay, and then lastly, Antonio, also a bit disappointing. He ended up getting a yellow card also, despite playing 90 minutes, only scored one point. Yeah, it's one of those where you can't expect Antonio to score every single match. And then Alonso was on the bench. He never started, so Chilwell came on. I wish I had Chilwell, who returned, I think it was a 15-pointer, if I'm not mistaken. So unfortunately, yeah, that would have been for a hit, but I've got to decide between Alonso and Chilwell. Some matches Alonso might start and some Chilwell. I think there's going to be quite a bit of rotation with Tuchel this year. So yeah, so good luck on that. And then Rafinha, who was one of those Brazilian players who returned quite late. He scored a goal for Brazil. So that, along with the amount of minutes he got, he was not risked. So he stayed on the bench, but I've got him in for the next match. Okay, so that's that. I hope you had a great game week 8. If not, don't despair. Remember, FPL is a marathon, not a sprint. So I'll try to help you to try to get some ideas what you can do going forward. Okay, so let's look at the effective ownership of the players. So no surprise, Mo Salah's on top with over 188% effective ownership, and these stats are obviously from the end of game week 8. You've got Antonio, who is still massively owned, top 10k, as well as the top 500k. And then Lukaku, we've got Lukaku, no surprise, he's also now surpassed Ronaldo. Alexander-Arnold, also still top defender. Cancelo is also up there. And then we've got Rafinha, who's also a very valued player by most FPL players. Jimenez, rather interesting in the top 10k, he's massively owned, not so much thereafter. So keep an eye on that. And then we've got Sanchez, the goalkeeper, the most owned goalkeeper. Ronaldo, he's still got some solid ownership, but he was higher up the list before. So with the fixtures turning not so good currently, most people have moved to Lukaku, and also the Man United performances haven't been that good. So that's also impacted with Ronaldo not scoring. And then Duffy, one of the budget defenders, he's also looking quite good owned. And then Benrahma, he also seems to be a popular West Ham player. So this is quite important, so that when you're considering players, the more of these players you have, the less risk you're taking. Because what will happen is, if, for instance, you don't have Cancelo, and you've got a defender that's not on this list here, and Cancelo scores, then your rank is likely to drop. Whereas if you have a player that's not in here, and none of these players do that good, but your player does better, then you can have a massive rise. But that's a bit more upside to it, but it's also quite risky, because so it's quite good to kind of have quite a few of these players in, just to manage and balance your risk. Okay, so what is my plan for the next game week 9, and also with a view going forward? So firstly, I have to tell you that I'm actually keeping a keen eye on the Champions League matches, just to see how the teams are lining up and who's getting minutes and who's starting, because that's going to play quite a pivotal role for me, and the reason for that is, with Chelsea playing Norwich, I am wanting to make sure that I've got possibly the best players that appear to be starting or are likely to start in the next match, because they're playing Norwich, and I think you definitely want to try to maximize on that. So what's my transfer for game week 9? Most likely my transfer is going to be Marcel out and James in. Okay, so unless there is news that Alonso starts or plays lots of minutes in the Champions League, which means that he's unlikely then to start. In that case, I might potentially take Alonso out and put in Chilwell, because then I've got Chilwell long term. And then I can possibly play Livramento off the bench. Okay, so it's quite key to have quite a good bench and playing players that I have got good fixtures, so that if you do have non-starters, like could happen now with COVID, etc., then you are not in a pickle. Okay, so that's basically my transfer. I'm hoping to do that. My team is, if you have to ask me, am I very happy with my team, or if I would have liked to make other transfers? Yes, I would. But I'm just trying to manage it gradually and pivoting my team. So I'm hoping, so if I look at some of my weak spots, Saint Maximum and Saul, I definitely would like to get rid of them. I would like Mabuemo in place of Saint Maximum, either Jimenez or Tony. Greenwood, I'd like Greenwood out, and I'd like Son in. Okay, so I don't think I can probably own. Yeah, I suppose I could get that combination, but it's the order of getting that combination in. And yeah, I would also like Sanchez probably out, and I would like Ramsdale in. However, I've had a few of my followers on Twitter that have recommended that I don't take out Sanchez, that I actually bring in, that I keep Sanchez instead of bringing Ramsdale, because there might not be much upside. I'm taking a -4-point hit, and most likely Ramsdale might not even keep a clean sheet. So I'm still thinking about that, but I think I most likely will be keeping Sanchez, because hopefully he can get quite a few saves. So he's not going to keep clean sheets against Liverpool and Man City, at least not against Liverpool. Man City, there could be sort of a 5% chance potentially, because Brighton can have quite a solid defense. Okay, so then what's the plan for the next game week? So going into game week 10. Okay, so game week 10, the plan is to go with, just have a look at it, take out Tony, bring in Tony and take out St. Maximum. Okay, and the reason for that is, if you look at Brentford's fixtures over there, they've got a sea of green. Okay, and thereafter it's still relatively quite good. So the reason for that is Alan St. Maximum is playing Chelsea, so that's going to be a massively tough fixture. Then they've got Brighton also, and Brentford, and then Arsenal. Okay, so why not take him out now and bring in a player that's got a better fixture? Okay, yeah, I've already maxed up on Chelsea, so I can't bring in Chelsea. I suppose another option could be Leeds. So if Bamford is back, Bamford could be an option, but I'm not so sure I've got enough money for him. Okay, and then the other option, yeah, not really much. I think a lot of people were bent by Armstrong of Southampton, so I don't think I'm going to go near him. I'm not that convinced yet that he's got a massive upside. So yeah, so that's what I'm most likely planning. Okay, so that'll strengthen my squad for a weak point, and then the next game week. Okay, the next game week, the plan is to, let's just have a look at that, to take out Greenwood and bring in Mabuemo, and the reason for that is to have two players from Brentford to maximize their fixture against Norwich. Okay, so I think many people will be going for that combination. Okay, So the weak spots in the team, I don't want to say Antonio is a weak spot, but he's playing a tough opponent. But yeah, he could score against them. Saul against Arsenal, he needs to come off the bench if Alonso or James doesn't play. That's not a bad match. I think Star can definitely score. There's Livramento, who's got Aston Villa also at home. So 2 bench players, relatively solid. So yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. Okay, and then we haven't spoken about captaincy. So the captaincy here, surprisingly, I possibly might consider going with Tony. However, my default captaincy is always going to be on Salah. But I might be a bit enterprising and decide to go for Tony over here. Okay, so that'll be quite interesting. And then the previous weeks I had potentially Lukaku against Newcastle. But it could be easily Salah also against Brighton. And then Gameweek 9, I forgot to mention it earlier, but possibly Salah. Okay, many people will probably be going for Lukaku against Norwich. I'm just weary that that's the early kickoff, and there seems to be quite a bit of a negative sentiment that's been going around of the early matches and many players not returning that's been captained. Mo Salah has been one of the few that has returned in early matches. So yeah, so that might potentially, that superstition might potentially sway me, but yeah, let's see. And then let's look at the next game week. Okay, game week 12. What are we doing here? So as you can see, I brought in Heung-min Son, and what I needed to do is I needed to take out Antonio to fund that, even though for Wang, even though Wang is on the bench, because he hasn't got the best matchup. The players that I brought in over here, they've got, so as you can see, I'm probably going for 4 at the back. Southampton have got Norwich, so trying to maximize on the fixture. Mabuemo and Tony have got Newcastle, so that's hopefully going to be an easy match, but the new owners, who knows what they might add a bit of confidence to the team, but on paper that should be a good matchup. And then captaincy with Salah against Arsenal, so that could be a good fixture. So yeah, and coming off the bench, so the solid bench here, there's James that could also play. He could even feature potentially, and Wang. Okay, so that is roughly the plan that I'm looking for. It's a flexible plan, so this is not cast in stone, but it gives you an idea of what my thinking is. So that you can try to pivot your team and try to manage it accordingly. Keep in mind, look at the fixtures, try to plan in advance where you've got green fixtures, and also just remember your captaincy to try to manage your captaincy, and where possible, if there's no matches being played, to try to buy players before price rises. But don't jump on price rises if there are players that could be at risk, or there are players that are playing matches in the week, midweek matches, because then you could shoot yourself in the foot. Okay, so what is happening with price rises? Let's just refresh this. This is FPL statistics. Let's see what is the latest. So Mabuemo seems to be the closest, not yet up for a price rise, but he's on top for possibility. Pinnock, Foster, Kovacic, Laporte, Rafinha, Chalobah, De Bruyne. Okay, so none of those players really interest me besides Mabuemo. Maybe Foster down the line, but he's a reserve goalkeeper, so I'm not going to waste the transfer on him. And then I suppose Laporte may be, but I'm not so sure I want to go for Laporte. I might potentially go for Diaz. He's a bit more nailed on. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. That's it from me. What I will next be sharing is the FPL Super League results. So yeah, let me share the latest Super League results with you. Okay, so this is the FPL A+ Super League. Shout out to Hartrick United, who is top of the pops currently with 65 points in Game Week 8 and a total of 562. Brilliant, well done, Sanjay Hartrick. At number 2, we have got Rogers Kipkamai. Brilliant, 70 points in Game Week 8 and 553 points. So chasing down Sanjay. In 3rd place, we've got Selam Mello with 548 points. Well done. And then 4th place, we've got Dollar Bill Stern, 544 points. 5th place, we've got Nipachan Utup. That's on 535 points. Then we have got FPL Experts, 532 points, 6th place. 7th place, we've got Jordan Awakane. He's on 519 points. And then 8th place, Gennings Omondi, 517 points. In 9th place, we've got Obina Okoli, 516 points. And wrapping up the top 10, we've got Roger Williams at 515 points. So well done to the top 10 in the FPLA Plus Super League. You've got lots of competition there, and some people that's outside of the top 10 that will definitely give you a run. If you haven't joined the FPLA Plus Super League yet, then please feel free to join. We'll be giving out shout outs to the top 10 every week in our video. So the joining link is included in the description below. Good luck with your transfers for Game Week 9 and wishing you guys lots of green arrows, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at FPLA+. Cheerio, all the best.